Today on the Nitty Gritty, what did and did not work in WandaVision?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am the Scarlet Fox.
Hey folks, I'm your 1950s black and white version of Dez, and I'm here to sell you cigarettes.
You're
Good for you.
here on the Dick Van Dez Show.
Dick Van Dez Show.
Today, if you can't tell, we're talking WandaVision.
We're talking WandaVision, and on that note,
We're talking to Wanda.
We're talking Wanda, Mrs. Olsen. Nice to have you here.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Olsen.
That is the worst impression I've ever heard. That was clearly Mary Kate.
But on the note of WandaVision, recently, I don't know if you guys knew this, but D&D Beyond has articles pretty often on like ways to up your game, things to add to your
they've
game.
been putting out a lot of content.
Yeah, here's an article: How to adapt Marvel's WandaVision for D&D.
They've been doing this with a lot of like big pop culture things, I think, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like take X thing and put it in your game somehow.
Yeah, like how to take this thing and put
Yeah.
it into your game or whatever. So we want to talk, what does our WandaVision D&D campaign look like to us? If we were to try to make it, here's what I would want. Oh man, because I got all kinds of things going on here. One of the things the article
Sure.
says is to like focus on anachronicity, that with things just not like meeting up together or whatnot.
Yeah.
Having it be so spacey. I would want to do one where you start as some of the soldiers for Sword or whatever,
okay.
and you want to go in there, and the first like session or two is trying to find your way in, but you know, Wanda sending, and you have to create bad guys that weren't an actual show, but to send out and to fight you. But then the moment you get in there, it's almost like you restart the campaign. They all sit down and they got their character sheets, and you hand them new ones. They're like, here, you're a circus worker.
You're now this person.
Yeah.
You're no longer you.
And
That'd be interesting.
oh man, you gotta kind of like jump back and forth between the two.
Yeah, the
Man.
hard part here is that, like, if you want to say you are residents of Westview, then how do you have any agency? That's a real problem here, because that's kind of the key of D&D, is that you get to decide what you're doing, and if you're kind of just a NPC basically in Westview, so how do you get past that?
I think maybe you could do something where like you could say there's something in you that makes you want to accomplish this goal.
Okay.
Like you could say you remember the name Sarah, and you remember that she's an 8-year-old girl. But your brain desperately,
and then you have to figure
reaches
out
for this person.
Why is this person important?
Yes.
Yeah, and of course it's not like you have to hold to everything the show said. I would like to see monsters, like classic D&D monsters, but Wandafied. So what are they turned into when they go into the hex?
Oh, that would be really cool.
What is, this beholder is just like the neighborhood watch or something like that, where they're constantly looking for you, or like
that grumpy old man who like carries a gun and he might actually shoot you like on his property. Like
yeah,
like their eyes shoot rays and
but
things
if
like that.
If he left the hex, he would be just kind of some goblin or just like some kind of I don't know. That'd be really interesting to see the creativity you could have turning enemies into hexified versions of them.
That'd be a lot of fun. Well, anyway, what's going on in the news of the world?
More
there's
on
been
the
some
WandaVision
stuff
later.
Yeah,
but
a lot more on WandaVision later.
More. Hey, you know how everybody loves the Wii U and is still playing it?
Oh yeah, how it's the most popular video game system
Well,
ever.
good news. It's getting a new system update.
What?
The Wii U is getting a system update 2.5 years after either the last one or the, like, let's see. Today in Japan, Nintendo released a new system update for the Wii U. The last firmware, 5.5.3, was released in early September 2018. All it said was improvements to system stability and usability, and further improvements to overall system stability and other minor adjustments have been made to enhance the user experience. Feels like a little too late there, Nintendo.
And 6 people went, "Aw, thanks, Nintendo." We needed that for the
Those-
system that we
Those
used to play.
6 people who've been in a coma
Yeah.
and woke up at the same time.
Who
and
just got
didn't-
brought back from the snap.
didn't know the Switch existed.
Man, hey Nintendo, no.
I
Take
mean-
those people that were working on that and put them on. Maybe those people were just really bad at their job, and this was something that was supposed to come out years ago. Anyway, speaking of things that are really old,
You?
yes,
That was me.
got
giving
it.
Myself a
Got
high
me.
five.
Yeah, Pokemon is 25 years old.
It is officially 25 years old.
And when you think
As of last week, actually.
when you think to yourself, what does Pokemon need to celebrate 25 years of greatness? You think maybe some new merch, like Pokemon 25 years? Maybe
Sure, that'd be good.
maybe a new region, something like that.
Got new. They announced new games.
Yeah, that's awesome, right?
Sure.
Or Pokemon 25, the album set for fall with Katy Perry,
Yes,
J
I saw
Balvin, and
this.
Post Malone.
Is it them performing Pokemon themed songs, or is it just like, hey, here are popular songs we're putting on an album?
Yeah, Post Malone has done a cover by Hootie and the Blowfish's "Only Want to Be with You," and
But it's not Pokemonified at all. There's no like Pikachu reference in there.
let's see. Each song's release will be joined by a music video and quote an exclusive merchandise collection celebrating each artist and Pokemon. But that's it. Not. There will also be other songs from some of the quote buzziest new artists from around the world, and these songs will be
Buzziest.
released in quote very Pokemon ways.
Okay.
But the songs
What?
themselves are all just covers, I guess,
Interesting.
from famous like artists.
It seems like a weird choice.
It's a really weird choice.
But maybe it's a way to get people who listen to, to Post Malone to kind of think about Pokemon and maybe want to play it.
Here's the thing with Pokemon.
Pokestamon Malone.
Stop.
Dang it.
It's Pokemalone.
Ah, my brain.
It's Pokemalone.
Pokemalone.
And
There
it's
we go. No, hey, I'm not trying to dunk on him. I actually like Post Malone.
right. No, he's talented.
The weirdest part to me is that they're not like, hey, get Post Malone to sample a popular Pokemon track in a new song he just invented about Pokemon. He would be down for that. That guy is goofy and hilarious and also a good songwriter. But get it to be a Pokemon themed song, not just, he covered a song, Hootie and the Blow. Is that the "Oh, I Want to Be With You"?
Yep, that's the one.
That one.
You know what?
Why?
I guess actually,
that could be a like I choose you.
I'm changing my mind. I'm changing my mind
I
already.
want to choose you.
I've changed my mind.
Okay,
That is how they're hitting all generations. That's a song from my
that's
generation,
fair.
and but
Post
from an
Malone's
artist in
only
this
like
generation.
5 or 6 years career at this.
There
point.
it is. They got
All right,
me.
nope, they did it.
Did
You
good
won
job.
us
You
out.
did it,
I'll
Pokemon.
pre-order it right now.
Success.
You got me.
You got me.
Anyway, let's talk about. Speaking of Concrete Genie, let's talk about Concrete Genie. Let's get into the things we've been into.
Yeah. So, well, I'll start. A couple of video games. Number one, we played Concrete Genie.
We played through Concrete. I kind of played through it twice.
Yeah, you did it on your own. You watched me play through it.
Yeah.
And we talk about it in the credits, but
Sure.
it was fun. I really enjoyed it. A solid 6.5, 7 out of 10. For
It's
me.
a short, enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
And it's mostly enjoyable because it's fairly short.
Yeah.
It has a fun gimmick, but it wouldn't last much longer than it already did.
No, in fact, again, I think you could have shaved 45
Little
minutes off
bit,
of that
yeah,
game.
yeah,
No problem there.
And it definitely had a very, not surface level, but not much deeper kind of point to it.
Right. It's a good game, and you know what? I think you should play it.
You should play it for
That
sure.
is a game you should go play. Which I will not say about this next game,
Okay.
which I enjoyed more than Concrete Genie,
Oh.
but you should not play it.
Interesting.
Little Nightmares 2.
Oh. Okay.
I finished Little Nightmares
You
2.
finished
It's
it up.
on our channel right now.
Yeah.
It is. I cannot think of another game that does horror that does not have to resort to blood and gore and
Blood
things
and
like
gore
that
or jump scares is what it sounds like.
better than Little Nightmares.
Yeah.
Like literally the best. It is. Just think about it now. I'm like getting like crunching
yeah,
up.
it's
Like
it's a game
oh.
I'm not gonna play because of it.
It is so.
Sorry, you're too good at that.
Yeah, it is so unsettling.
Yeah.
You should absolutely 100% go watch this game.
Yeah.
Go watch a Let's Play of this game. It's on our channel right now.
Yeah.
Or
Hey.
watch
cross
somebody else play this
promotion.
game. Yeah. But it is so janky. it did not, in fact, not only did it not solve any of the platforming problems from the first game, it added a new mechanic, a combat mechanic that is also janky. It added a new janky
That's
mechanic.
rough. I watched a few movies this week. I watched a movie called The King of Staten Island.
Oh yeah,
It's a Judd Apatow movie starring Pete Davidson from SNL. I'm not a huge fan of Judd Apatow. He's the 40-year-old virgin.
right.
A lot of those like stoner comedies, but with a lot of improv in them also,
Right.
because he usually has a stable of like comedians who are kind of doing their thing, and their improv is generally, at least kind of funny.
Yeah. I would say
to
that-
a certain extent, to
I
a
would say
certain
what
mindset.
he does well, and I think that
Yes.
he's very
Yes.
good at that. I am not a
If
fan
you
of
don't
it, though.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
sure, that's fair. But if you do, he's a good director.
Yeah.
I think he's good at what he does. He also has a few movies like I think he did Funny People possibly,
Oh, I don't know.
and then he did like This Is 40, where
Right.
what I like about his movies that they go beyond stoner comedy or just crass comedy. There's usually at least a message to them, and I appreciate that. And King of Staten Island is no exception to that. In fact, I think it's actually, from the movies I've seen that he's made, it's probably my favorite.
Oh,
It is essentially a coming of age story about a guy in his mid-20s, Pete Davidson's character, who his father died. He was a firefighter and died when he was young, and he basically, just growing up, hit a place of arrested development. Just that kind of affected him in a pretty deep way. And this is about a movie about his mom kind of trying to move on and starting to date a guy who's also a firefighter, and it's just him, like a coming of age story.
Yeah,
where he's kind of coming to terms with where he's been and needing to grow up a little bit.
well, I've been watching a lot this week, so I'm going to break it into two sections.
Okay.
One, things that have already released, and two, things that I watched. Three different things that released this week.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, Queen's Gambit, I watched the
yeah,
entire
okay.
series of, and here's what I'll say: it's good and it's enjoyable. Chess is really the vehicle in this, or not really the vehicle, is the
star.
no, it's not. It's like, it's just, they took a story and they made chess the thing. It would have worked exactly the same if it were soccer
okay.
or
it's the MacGuffin
so-
kind of, like,
yeah,
here's,
it kind of
here's
is. Now,
it's not the actual story.
right. Now, I enjoy the chess part of it. It's really cool. It's really interesting, but they make chess look like a sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing.
Which I
kid you
love.
not.
That's funny to me.
It is. It's amusing, and in this really weird way, they make it look so glamorous.
The
and,
bad
like,
girl of the chess scene.
Yes, and like, oh, you're getting. Oh, my daughter's playing chess. Who knows what she's gonna be doing next? And it's just.
Chess is a gateway.
It's
Chess
so
is a gateway
weird.
game.
Man, and so they definitely make it look like that.
Sure.
Now, only for this main character. Everyone else in chess, they very much
They're
portray
just
them as like the nerd.
chess man.
Yeah, but for her, like, because of chess, she goes through all this trouble and all these weird things, whatever else happens in her life. But it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun, but it was just weird to see chess in this way. The second thing I watched was Batman Ninja.
Yeah.
The anime of Batman, of going back in feudal Japan, time
Was
travel.
it wasn't just he's a ninja now?
No.
It was
This-
time travel.
It was time travel.
Oh, okay.
And it was how they're trying to get back to the regular time.
Oh.
But the basic premise was Gorilla Grodd is trying to get to a point where apes can take over the world. So if he goes back to X time, he can do something, and then apes will take over the world.
Butterfly effect kind of thing.
Yeah, but Batman comes in and kind of ruins it, and things start going wrong, and Batman's getting away, but then the time thing hits, and everybody gets sent back in
Accidental
time.
time travel.
But so it's feudal Japan that they end up in, and that's the random part. But because Batman was getting away, he ends up arriving like 5 years later than everybody else.
Oh, okay. He got sent back late. Okay, interesting.
And so
that's why everybody else is already established.
everybody's
as
had
characters.
established. They're
Okay.
all, and so it is very much an homage to like Ninja Sword or Ninja Scroll and those old 80s ninja anime.
Okay.
It is 100% that. It gets bonkers, ridiculous. I'm
As it
talking
should.
about like buildings that turn into giant robots and fight each
That's
other.
amazing.
Yeah, like it's awesome.
I watched Monster Hunter.
I didn't. Oh no.
I paid $6 to watch Monster Hunter.
I should. I may do it.
Oh, sorry. I wasted $6 to
Oh, no.
watch Monster Hunter. I misspoke before. I'm sorry. This
Amazon
movie,
stole $6 from me to watch.
no,
Monster
I rented
Hunter.
it. Luckily, it was Google Play money that I
Oh,
got
so
through
you didn't
survey,
actually.
so
Okay, got it.
it
got
was
it.
half spending. But this movie was trash.
Gasp.
It is well, yeah. It's. But here's the thing: I don't like Paul W.S. Anderson's like Resident Evil movies. This was worse than most of
Oh,
those. I'd say
jeez.
this is worse than any of the Resident Evil.
Worse than you expected.
Worse than I expected.
Jeez.
This movie, I'm going to spoil things that happen
That's fine.
because don't watch it.
yeah.
The plot does not start till 45 minutes into an hour and 45-minute movie. And by that I mean the actual like what's the goal they're working toward. Up until then,
Just
it's
horrific
just
pacing.
things happening to people. So obviously it starts promising, where it's like a big cool pirate ship with hunters is traveling across the desert and a monster attacks, and it's like that opening like action scene that action movies have, and you're like, oh, this is cool, but in the back of your mind you're like, this isn't what it's about. It's about soldiers. I know this isn't what it's
When
about.
do army people come in? Oh no.
And then it just switches to Army Squad, who there's a sandstorm and they happen to be near these like stone things that light up and have weird text on them, and then just get transported to another world. And that's Monster Hunter World. There's no actual reason why it happens. It's very random. And then everybody except for Mila Jovovich dies before the plot even begins, before the actual like goal that they're working toward, before the like they all die because monsters killed them all except for her. And you're like, okay, well, they were all pointless.
Yeah.
I understand why you didn't give them character arcs or character attributes, because they're all just nothing and die. Terrible movie. Don't watch it. Is bad.
Man, I have the exact same recommendation for a movie that I watched this week.
Ooh.
I watched Tom and Jerry.
Oh, yeah. I was like, maybe nah.
Man, so this is not Haley Joel Osment.
Did the
Dang it,
Palico?
what's
There
her
was
name?
a Palico in that too, Tom.
Chloe Grace Moretz. That's her name. So starring Chloe Grace Moretz. This is a movie that was bad,
Okay.
made worse by the
Ooh.
title characters.
Really?
Yes. So let me tell you the premise of this film. Chloe Grace Moretz is essentially, she's just a girl trying to find a job, but really she's a con artist.
Okay.
She is trying to like find ways to get jobs, to con people to give her a job. And the way that she gets a job at this fancy hotel is there's somebody there with a really good resume, and she starts talking to this person and then says, well, that was the resume. We do surprise, or that was the interview. We do surprise interviews here. So I'm sorry, but we're
she
gonna
makes them leave.
but
and then she
anyway,
takes her.
I'll take
Okay.
your resume for our file, and then goes in and pretends to be that girl, like cons her way into a job,
Okay.
is not great at it, but because she's not great at it, the big struggle is that Tom and Jerry are fighting. Oh, by the way, all animals in this world are animated. So that's the way they
All
establish.
animals.
Yeah, all animals are animated
Okay.
animals, and that's the only thing that actually works about this. Is
I
that okay?
guess.
Cool. You're setting that. Sure, whatever. All animals are goofy animated cartoon animals.
Okay, sure.
And so Tom and Jerry keep fighting, and that's the trouble that she's having. And then she's got to get them to be friends to help her with some other thing. Famous people are getting married or whatever else.
Okay.
It's stupid. All right, I have one last thing.
Okay.
I watched, which also released this week, Coming to America.
Yeah, the sequel.
The sequel to Coming to
The squeakquel.
America. Yeah. And
I've never seen either of them. So
real quick, when I was a kid, I grew up with Coming to America.
okay.
Oddly enough, not a child
Not
appropriate film.
yeah.
I grew up with like Spaceballs and Young Frankenstein and
Sure.
and, Harlem Nights, a lot of comedy. But anyway, I grew up with Coming to America. It's hilarious. I loved it. It was really, really good. This movie was very funny and it made me laugh. And if you did not see the first one, it would be the stupidest movie you've ever
Oh,
seen.
okay.
Every bit of its comedy relies on the first one.
Okay.
and at least every bit of a successful comedy relies on the first one. And I will say that it attempts to be progressive with its message of women can lead a kingdom. It doesn't have to be a man and things like that. But it's too ham-handed and it's too male-led in general for that to be a really good hit. Well, that's all I got.
That's all I've got.
We talked a lot,
As we do.
but let's go to the nerdy gritty.
Let's get there.
Before we do that, if you're listening to this, we just want to let you know really quickly, you're listening to an edited version of the nerdy gritty. This first half, we talked for about an hour before this.
Long time.
Yeah, and we've cut this down to, I don't know, Fox, about half an hour usually in that area.
Oh, 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we cut a lot out of that to make it more palatable for the casual listener. But if you really like listening to all the things we talked about a lot of different things with news articles, what we've been up to, new movies that just came out. Fox watched Monster Hunter. I don't know, maybe listen to that, I don't know. I watched Moxie. A lot of cool things that we talked about. All that to say, we have a director's cut on our Patreon. You go to patreon.com/DazandFox, and on the second tier or higher, you get access to the director's cut of the nerdy gritty, and you get to listen to our full version. A lot of good stuff over there, as well as all the other benefits. So yeah, go ahead over there. If you can't do that though, just tell people about it. Please tell people about the nerdy gritty and all the good talkings that we do. That we am good worders.
Yep.
Yeah, so let them know that. Other than that, thanks for listening. We appreciate you. Let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
So today, as we speak, is the day that the season finale, which is the title of the season finale of WandaVision, dropped. And we both watched it early.
We did.
Usually we'll watch it in the evenings, but we both watched it. You had to get permission from your wife to do so. My wife didn't work this morning, so we watched it together. Anyway, so as we usually do when there's a show that we're both watching, we'll just wait till the end to kind of talk about it. And we thought that this one tried to do something more than just a standard TV show, and it also has the added like complexity of being part of the MCU and also doing something bigger than the MCU typically tries to do.
Yeah.
So essentially, we want to talk about kind of what worked and maybe stuff that didn't work. Maybe we could talk about where this is going, what could happen here, what could this. We want to talk about WandaVision.
Right.
Yeah. To be clear, WandaVision.
Typically, this is just kind of our intro whenever we finish the season, but WandaVision seems bigger than the average.
It's doing something a little
so,
different than it's kind of setting. We can talk about this. It seems to be kind of setting a precedent for what a Marvel Cinematic Universe property could possibly do,
as well
for
as,
better or for worse,
as well as setting the table for a lot of other things.
Yes.
So
what we basically just kind of want to look at an overview first, I think is a good idea. It's 9 episodes long of varying length. They kind of went longer toward the end.
Yeah.
But overall, what were your thoughts on how well WandaVision accomplished what it set out to do from the start? Oh, by the way, once again, lots of spoilers.
Yes, we are going to spoil the crap out
Everything
of
will be
WandaVision.
spoiled, so, I couldn't even tell you what time to skip to avoid spoilers, because this is
It's going to be the whole thing.
This isn't just a review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did it accomplish its goal? I'd say a resounding yes.
Okay.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. I think that its real goal was simply to finish up some storylines, or I guess not finish up, but like establish what's going on with specific characters and also reinvest you in them.
Yes.
I think the whole like premise here is we are going to be doing things with Scarlet Witch and Vision, particularly Scarlet Witch, in phase...
And we can call her that now.
Yes, we can call it exactly the Scarlet Witch. In phase 4, I think is what we're on.
We are in phase... This was the beginning of phase 4.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of things with Scarlet Witch in phase 4. We need to invest you in her emotionally, personally, and as a fully rounded character.
Establish who she is.
Yeah, establish who she is, and set the table for a lot of things that are going to be coming. And 100% success, I think, in that.
Yeah, like a lot of MCU entries, it simultaneously gives you a satisfying story, like a beginning, middle, and end, and also gets you excited for what's next. They have become the masters of never feeling satisfied when they don't want you to a certain extent. I don't even mean that in just mysteries. I mean that like wanting to know what's happening next.
Yes.
Not in a bad way. That can sound like a bad thing, not feeling satisfied. I felt satisfied by the story here.
Right.
But also it's just like, cool, bring on the next thing, you know?
It's
and you're
the
just
moose
wanting
boosh.
more.
Yeah.
With Endgame, you felt satisfied, like you've brought this arc to an end.
Mhm.
You still have expectations for what's coming or want to know what's coming, but it felt like if they had stopped it there, ended everything, you would have been like, okay, that was a strong ending to a big arc. And this was a tantalizing beginning, but also continuing stuff that is already. So I think, yes, what you're saying is, I agree. Pretty well accomplished what they set out to do, specifically with. It was all about these specific characters.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on around them, but it was really just about Wanda and Vision and their relationship and where they are now and what has happened to her after the pain she has gone through.
Right. And to be clear, again, did you watch the mid and after credits scene?
Yes, I've seen
Okay.
all the end credit scenes
Good.
now.
Just want to make sure that
Made sure
we
to look
we
up
hit
if
that
there
out.
were any. Yeah.
So, again, accomplishing the goal, huge success. Whether or not I enjoyed every bit of it is a different story.
Sure. Yeah, it
but-
was not a perfect show.
No, they had flaws. It was still very good. Again,
Yeah.
To be absolutely blunt, I really enjoyed WandaVision,
Sure.
but there were complaints that I had. But it absolutely accomplished its goal. I am all in on Wanda Maximoff right now and what's going to be happening with her.
Yeah.
And what her direction is going to be. By the way, congrats to Elizabeth Olsen, because you were clearly going to be the center of a lot of what's
Yeah,
going on.
Man, I love it. Like, you just go in so many different. I mean, it's the benefit of having such a large stable of characters to work with. You can go anywhere with anybody. Like,
Yeah.
there's such a long history of material to adapt, because it's like you could just go as far back as you need to and find some little thread and turn it
Tug
into
on
an
it.
entire 10-movie story arc. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what happens. What comes next? Okay, so you said you didn't find everything perfect. You felt like it had some flaws.
Right.
What do you feel like didn't work as well as it might have, could have, or didn't live up to what they wanted it to?
I'd say my biggest complaint was I really liked that they did the TV show thing.
Yes,
That was super
It was
cool.
a fun gimmick.
But it was what they really came out to be at the end is it ended up being very gimmicky.
Yes,
Because her dad brought home DVDs of old TV shows in general, and that was kind of her family connection.
yes.
Now she's created this place to be a television show.
Yeah. At the same time, I like that, and
Right.
also it feels, if you didn't do that, if you didn't show that, it wouldn't have taken a lot. I wasn't thinking, why does she know what, why would she pick this? I was just thinking TV.
Right.
It's just a generic standard TV thing. I will say I did read an article, I forget where, and I'm sorry, but there was an article about, it was somebody who had grown up in Eastern Europe in a time, during the Soviet Union, before the wall fell, when Western media was not as common. And so when they were able to see things like those old TV shows that were in syndication and in the public domain, essentially, it was a fun treat. And this was before they even revealed this information on that episode of the TV show. They were like, no, this makes sense. This actually rings true with somebody who kind of had not the same experience. And I was like, that's cool. Like,
yeah.
It's something where, Eastern European, like, seeing the Dick Van Dyke Show or I Love Lucy was like a fun treat because it was something that they didn't get very often.
Well, and I understand that she wanted to have the perfect TV life.
Yes.
Like, she wanted to have that, but to actually portray it in a television show and then to broadcast that television show, like, they never even explained why she broadcasted it. Why could they pick it up on the TV?
I think they explained it in the sense that it was just the energy that was being released by what was going on.
And the energy had 3 cameras.
It was a signal.
Like,
Yeah. Again, it was a little gimmicky.
Yes. And so, not that it was bad that it happened. I wish they had a better explanation for it, though.
Sure.
At the end of it all, it really just was, oh, so it was just a gimmick. Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, it was a little gimmicky. I was hoping that kind of, as they went, like, because they went obviously through the decades, got more modern as they went.
Right.
The most recent one was like a Modern
Modern
Family
Family.
Office, type faux documentary. And I was hoping they'd get even more modern and have the final episode kind of parody a Marvel movie. We got to do the final battle now, so let's do a big final battle. And you have like those, you know, and you have
super.
I thought that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it, but it would have been kind of cool to do. But yeah, it was a little gimmicky. Like at the beginning, it was new and fresh, and it felt like I have never seen this in a superhero movie, let alone the MCU. This is really interesting. Where is this going? Like what I think it did really well was drawing you in. Just getting you like, what is going on? What does that mean? Who is that? What's that going on? And I think something that kind of maybe not failed, but just didn't live up to my expectations was answering a lot of the questions I had that felt that to me, there were too many red herrings in this show. Every side character, you had Dottie, you had a guy, you had all the neighbors and stuff. Like you were like, okay, that's going to be this person. Who's that going to be? Who's the? And if you look back in our text conversations, we have a million fan theories that could have made sense. And I'm not saying that all the fan theories have to be true, or that everything has to be a reference, or everything has to be more than what it is. But I don't know why it just felt disappointing that, okay, so Dottie was just another character. She was just another neighbor. Like I was expecting there to be something, because it seemed as though they were trying to get you to think these things.
Right.
A red herring.
Yes.
And they piled on top of each other, and it felt like there were too many.
My most disappointing one, and this is one where I'm actually a little bit annoyed by it, was the fake Pietro.
Yes.
Pietro.
That was the culmination of the red herring problem with this show.
He turned out to be no one.
Yeah,
and that's frustrating.
This was the Mandarin.
Mandalorian.
This was the Mandarin again. Remember when I'm the Mandarin and he's just some failed actor, and then the bad guy's the other guy? This was the same thing. It was just some random dude who was forced to do these things.
And I understand that, and that's fine. Like, but
this was more disappointing.
Yes, they picked the actor that is Pietro from the MC or the X-Men universe.
He was Peter Maximoff.
Yeah. And they didn't have to pick him.
Right. It was in retrospect just a fun little cameo, not in any way relevant to the story.
But you can't do that.
That was the problem.
Yes,
especially after Disney now owns Fox.
Right.
They've talked about that they're bringing mutants into it. Like they were setting you up, and Kevin Feige was laughing at everybody.
There was a meta reference.
Yes.
And then they pull that meta rug out from underneath you and say it was nothing.
Which,
how dare you?
To be very fair, that was entirely because of fan expectation. They didn't actually tell us anything that was a lie. They just heavily implied this is a thing maybe, and then we all fell for it. But it was something that I think my main problem with it was that character had no point at all. My least favorite type of fan service is fan service that has no actual purpose or has a detriment. And this, I think, was detrimental. Because if he's held more of a purpose in the story than just funny, he was recasted, and on a meta level, we know him as Quicksilver in this other thing, but he was easily defeated in the end. He had he served no story purpose. He served no significance as a character aside from the fake person he was supposed to be. Like, that was my main problem with that, is if he had done something useful in the show or something interesting or something important, then I'd be willing to forgive it a little bit more. But as it stands, it was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, just more than anything, it was the meta part of it. If they had cast literally any other actor and had it be in there, I'd have been very curious. It'd been really interesting. I would have felt all the things that I think they really wanted me to felt. Like, wait, why is this guy Pietro? Who is this guy? This isn't Pietro.
Yeah.
Now I empathize with Wanda. She's just as confused as I am. I have more empathy for Wanda in the situation. Instead, I felt like I had meta knowledge.
Right.
Wanda's confused as to who this guy is, but I know who he is. Wow, that's crazy. And to have that meta knowledge almost used against me, like as a trick on me, it felt more like I was tricked, not like a satisfying, like, ooh,
it felt like a little bit of a betrayal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the same time, if you don't know who that is, as in you haven't seen that character in the other X-Men movies, then it's like the Khan moment in Star Trek Into Darkness when what's his name, Benedict Cabbage Patch. He's just like, I am Khan. And if you have seen the original Wrath of Khan, you're like, okay, wonderful, great.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, you're like, why was that a big deal? That's just his name. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it had no purpose. And to me, this was the exact same thing where it's like, I need to have this meta knowledge for this to have any impact. Because if you don't know that Evan Peters played Quicksilver, you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, why does he look at you're just in Vision's shoes and you're just like, who is that?
Yeah.
And it was just, it was a weird letdown of a moment. Now, I will say, I did text you pretty soon after that episode. I was like, now to be fair, that might not necessarily mean that the X-Men are coming. So I just want to put that out there. I told you so. It's still disappointing.
Yeah. Just because you told me that it could be disappointing, just so you
Look,
know.
I tried to lower your expectations. I'm sorry I failed.
It's like, just so you know, somebody might punch you directly in the testicles, and then it happens. You can't be like, I told you.
It so. That shouldn't hurt right now.
Yeah.
Why are you in pain?
So, to me, that was easily the most annoying part. The most glaring one was the gimmick of the TV show. The most annoying one to me was definitely that.
Sure. It relied on some gimmicks. The TV show thing, and I think we can move on here to, well, was there anything else that kind of stood out to you? Before we get into, like, maybe the future of stuff, what stood out to you? What worked well? What didn't work? Was there anything else that you felt like, yeah, that was cool, or ooh, I don't like?
Well,
I don't
just
know.
to continue, that didn't work very well. I think that the Agatha Harkness character was camped too much. The actress is a good actress.
Yeah,
she can do
she's
good
funny.
stuff.
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn is great. She's funny. She has a lot of good roles. But they seem to actively camp her up for the entirety of it, even when she became the villain.
Yes.
And when she was Agatha Harkness, not just Agnes, she still was kind of campy.
Yes.
And felt out of place. And it made me a little sad,
Yeah, it made sense that she was a campy character in these campy TV shows throughout history. Sure, she's the nosy neighbor.
Fantastic.
She was great. Yeah. She was wonderful. But yeah, she should have had a big turn of I'm now serious evil person.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I felt that too, and I wondered if part of it was she's like a goofy witch. Like her character herself is like they literally kind of introduce her in the episode after she's revealed to be evil.
Agatha all along. Oh, Agatha all along.
That was
so
fun.
Good.
Yeah, that was fun. But they introduce, like, the first scene is she's literally at like a witch hunt type thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, this wasn't the same as like a witch hunt where it's let's kill an innocent lady because she wants to read a book. But it was very reminiscent of that, and it felt a little goofy. It felt like she's like tied to a stake.
Yeah.
And it just kind of lent to like I wish it was a little more dark as a witch thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, because her magic also just turned out to be purple power, and we've seen red power.
Yeah.
She's just evil version, and I think they could have gotten that across a little better with some actual dark magic type. She's doing a ritual. She kills a cat or something like that. Where it's demonstrating she's doing evil things. And I mean, she does kill a bunch of other witches, but also you're like, well, they're evil witches also, I think.
They were trying to kill her.
Is she a good person right now? Yeah, like maybe she's supposed to be good.
Hey,
so,
she killed the dog.
Yeah, that to me, we talked about that too. Is like a little bit of a signal of like, oh, she's also supposed to be evil.
Yeah, just so you all know, she is bad.
She is a bad person.
It really was
she
that,
killed a dog.
That very like the sign in the air, like just so you know, she's bad.
Which I'd rather have it be a little more ambiguous.
Yeah,
I would rather have her have like maybe good intentions, but has been treated poorly by her mother, and has had a history of, and anyway. So yeah, she was fun, but also could have been less campy. You're right. Yeah. Even after she
once she was revealed to be evil, she retained her camp, and
it would have. Yeah.
But onto let's get the bad things out of the way. We did it. Kick it out of there. Holy crap! The family dynamic of this show broke my heart, and was incredible and wonderful and sad and beautiful. And Elizabeth Olsen crushed it. She was fantastic at the end. I felt her sorrow. I felt her struggle. Paul Bettany did a great job as Vision because it was a little bit, he felt a little bit disconnected, but I think that's part of who Vision is also.
Oh, sure. He always has that layer of separation of being a robot.
Right.
Infused with the internet.
But 100% Elizabeth Olsen, I felt it. The scene where the two of them are saying goodnight to their sons.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, like, just broke me, man.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, goodnight and goodbye to their sons.
Sure.
And then that feeling of loss that Elizabeth Olsen has at the end of it, where she loses everything. Vision's gone.
Again.
Her children are gone. Everything again. And she just puts her hood up and walks out of town. Oh,
well,
man.
kind of. She walks
And then she
downtown
flies.
and everybody's like,
Oh, yeah, that was
hey,
ominous.
what are you doing here?
Yeah, everybody's just staring at
I
her.
will say that I think it is a little undercut with new Vision being Vision, because he has Vision's memories.
But remember, she has no idea.
Yeah, but he's still there.
She doesn't know it.
I understand that. Sure, I'm not saying it's on her. I'm saying that on the meta level,
Yeah.
they're gonna try to do it again, maybe. And it's like, no, you've already like tried to give us this like reuniting, tearing apart like 3 times at this point.
Yeah.
Just let it die. Stop being like comic books and let a character die. You've already done it a few times. Vision could die here too. It's okay. Because I just kind of like cringe at the thought of them meeting again. And like it's just gonna like it's got diminishing returns.
Well,
on
I
each
foresee
time
this
that they work
as she's gonna end up evil and bad, and
maybe he's the humanity.
then, yeah.
Ironically, he's the humanity
Yeah.
that brings her back
exactly that.
because he's
Yes.
a robot. Okay, all right, that could
So,
work. I can
it's
see
like
that.
in Multiverse of Madness or whatever else
Sure,
she's gonna be,
sure.
because they very much reference the Sorcerer Supreme in it.
They clear, yeah,
Yeah.
she's more. You are
More
more
powerful
powerful
than the
than the
Sorcerer
first
Supreme.
time they've ever clearly defined a person's power level above another's
Yeah,
in this whole thing.
and so also, the Hulk is the most powerful Avenger. They established that in Thor
That's in
Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, strongest Avenger.
Oh yeah, strongest Avenger.
Anyway, yeah,
The family part of it to me was incredible. I
Yeah,
think they did
it was
such a
fun.
good job. And then they like, because especially, and this was I was their target demographic for this, as the kid who stayed up late when I was a kid and watched Nick at Night.
Yeah.
As a kid, I watched I Love Lucy.
yeah, I watched a
and
lot
the
of
Dick Van
Nick at
Dyke
Night.
Show and
My
the Mary Tyler
mom
Moore
watched
Show.
a lot of it, and I just watched it too.
Yeah, and so to watch these shows, to me, this was family. Oh, look at
Sure.
their good family, and then to have it end in this way where it all just gets ripped apart.
Here's the
Man.
quote unquote real version, and it ends with not a happy ending.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of a little more reality setting in here. Yeah, I think that worked okay. I would like to think they kind of teased at that last post credit scene where she's in some cabin, I assume in Sokovia or something,
I did like that. To let you guys know, if you haven't seen it, she's sitting on her porch,
drinking tea,
PJs,
enjoying the
yeah.
solitude.
and then she walks in, and then the camera moves past her and goes into a different room and turns the corner, and there's her
She's
in her
Astral projecting, essentially,
in her
Scarlet Witch costume,
floating and reading this book of darkness,
the
or whatever
Darkhold.
it is.
I looked into it. Apparently, the Darkhold is actually a pretty big plot point in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Oh,
It shows up, including other witches from the comics show up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay,
I don't know how canon that is anymore.
I
Or if
don't
it's,
think Agents
if
of
it's
S.H.I.E.L.D. was ever meant to be canonical to the MCU. I don't know that. I'm not making
well,
a
they
definitive
directly
statement,
reference
but-
things that happen in the movies,
Right, but I think
But
that,
I think it's like the Netflix shows where it's don't worry about them.
right.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and I'm excited. I want Wiccan and Speed to come back.
Yeah,
And I think it could work because right now, Wiccan is married to Hulkling, who is literally the emperor of the Skrull Kree Alliance. It's goofy, but he is the child
comics.
of a Skrull and a Kree, so he's like the one that drew them together. And anyway, but the Skrull are now a thing, and are we gonna get this? And anyway, I would like them to come back. I would like to see those two characters. Anyway,
I'm interested in Monica Bavo.
yeah,
Where she's gonna go? They
Monica Rambeau.
Rambo.
Not our friend
Right, not-
Monica Bouvet, who we knew 10 years ago.
Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau.
And I think they did a really good job building her character and giving her powers and having it be a moment of choice.
Yeah, we talked
like you
about that a
said.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, did we talk about it on the podcast?
No, we talked about it together.
Okay, so you say it how you like. You could. There was the choice part.
What I
really
appreciated
said,
about
so.
her origin was that it was not an accident.
Yeah.
Pretty much every single superhero, it's either an accident or it's like a way to survive or something. And for her, it was, I'm going to choose to continue moving through this pain and this difficult, going through the hex, basically.
Knowing that is changing me as I'm
knowing
going
that
through.
this is and possibly in a detrimental way.
Right.
My cells have been altered, things like that. So I really appreciated the fact that it was just, I'm making this choice to become something different because I need to go save this person. It was a truly heroic act.
Absolutely.
So I really like to see that. What do you think of the Skrull cameo, the Skrull reveal?
It was sure, man.
Made sense.
Yeah,
It's a lead
exactly.
up to it
made sense.
Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah. I think it's just gonna be one of those
She's
things.
probably referencing Nick Fury or Talos.
Well, Nick Fury is my guess. An
Yeah.
old friend of your mom's.
Old friend of your mom's.
Yeah.
He's caught up to speed. And...
Yeah. So I definitely think that it's just showing what's coming up to that character. If they did not show that, I would not have been dissatisfied or anything like that. It was just like, oh, cool. Whatever.
As far as cameos go, one of my favorite stories about this show is that round about episode 3 or 4, Paul Bettany in an interview talked about, there was an actor that came in and I was super excited to work with him. Just this like I always wanted to work with this guy or this person or whatever. And people kind of thought it was Evan Peters, or they assumed it would be like Benedict Cumberbatch. And Doctor Strange is going to show up, and he specifically revealed at like season or episode like 8 after that, he's like, person still hasn't, or episode 7, I guess, person still hasn't shown up. And it was revealed that it was himself. Which I love. Just a big troll.
Oh, man.
Just like, I wanted to work with myself. And he's just fighting the other version of the Vision.
Yeah.
And
I will say that scene was a pretty comic booky to me, where it was just like, I can make you Vision again.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. The Ship of
it worked.
Theseus thing
It's fine.
was an
That
interesting
was really good.
conversation.
Yeah.
I wish it was longer. Instead of them just lasering and punching each other, both of them knowing they're not going to be able to kill one another.
Yeah.
They're the exact same person. They know what I wish it was like a longer conversation about identity and who they are and who I am. And, that would have been much more interesting, while at the same time, Agnes and Scarlet Witch are fighting. Like, have one fight and one intellectual conversation going on. But these are all nitpicks. Nitpicks, not nitpicks.
Nitpicks.
As a nitpick. Overall, I was pretty satisfied with the show. Do you feel like it adequately answered your questions throughout the show? That was a question. That was the thing I've been thinking about. Is it set up a lot of questions? It set up a lot of things that kind of needed answers. Do you feel like it satisfyingly answered those questions?
The important ones.
Okay.
Yes. I think there were unimportant ones, like, why did blood show up red in the black and white show?
Oh, sure.
I don't know.
Why did some people remember that Westview existed, but others didn't?
Yeah. But you know what? Those were interesting plot points that made me more invested in the show, and the fact that they didn't get answered doesn't bother me.
Sure.
So they didn't get answered, whatever. I think all the important questions that I had, I definitely got answered for sure.
There's a certain level of like what you're willing to just forget about.
Yeah.
Because it accomplished something else to a greater degree. And I definitely think like Lost is the worst example
100% yes.
Let's set up. I mean, it's J.J. Abrams' whole thing. His idea of story writing is, he calls it his mystery box writing theory or whatever, where it's like the mystery is more satisfying than the answer is kind of how he talks about it. And so he doesn't really care if everything is answered. And so you have Lost. He didn't write all of Lost, but he was the creative origin of it.
Right.
And Lost was super dissatisfying because it set up so many mysteries that never got answered.
Yep.
And this one I agree with you. I wish they had done a little bit more about little answers like that. But at the end of the day, the show was about Wanda. And, I mean, a lot of it can be waved away by magic.
Yeah.
Which is not super satisfying, but it technically is an answer, so let's go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of little, like, if I were to rewatch it, I think I'd be like, oh, that's a thing that didn't get explained.
Yeah. I would agree, probably.
Yeah. So where do you feel like we've talked about like some cameos and stuff that's clearly signaling,
Right.
but where do you think this is gonna go here?
There's where I think it will go, and then on top of that, where I hope it will go.
Okay.
Think is just that the multiverse and Wanda are going to be kind of a cornerstone of Phase 4 of the MCU.
It seems that way.
That giving her the power level that she has and setting her up as kind of a morally neutral character right now.
Using the Darkhold, a book
Right.
of evil spells.
I think that we are establishing that she will in some way be a cornerstone of the new stories that are coming.
Yeah.
And I think that Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier will also build on that.
Falcon.
Right, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I can't. That was an accident. I think they'll also build on that a little bit, but I think that they purposely did WandaVision first to say, this is where we're starting. This is our beginning.
This is the kind of major like overarching idea.
Right.
Getting into a more dark magic based.
So that's what I hope.
Okay.
I hope that they leave some of the heavy sci-fi behind from Phase 1 through 3
Okay.
and step into a more fantasy aspect of it.
Yeah.
And they just say, okay, space fights and other cool things might happen, but magic now. We're all in on magic now, kids. And that's the direction they start going. I think that they could start bringing in a lot more of the more fantastical characters from Norse mythology, from the MCU, just, from different universes, whatever. I think that, including like Ileana Rasputin, magic, there are other magical characters in the MCU.
She is a mutant, but yes, she has magical type abilities.
Right. Well, back in the 90s when I was really into it, she had both. She was like Scarlet Witch, where she had mutant powers and Scarlet and magic abilities.
And
anyway,
she has a cool sword.
Yes. All this to say, it would be really cool if they were saying we are taking an entirely new direction here.
Yeah.
We're taking 2 steps back on sci-fi. Of course, it'll still be sci-fi.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, they
comic books.
clearly have teased that with the scrolls. And,
right.
Like that's all going to take place.
But the kind of the linchpin is going to be magic and fantasy now.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the idea, the whole, like, this was the most unique thing that they have done so far with the idea of the TV show aesthetic gimmick thing. And I'm really hoping that that is a signal of we're going to, beyond just like the subject matter, genre wise, I'm hoping they go in a little more. I think we probably talked about this before, but I'm hoping they go in a little more. Pretty much all of their movies have been action, sci-fi action, or like spy thrillers with your Captain America movies. Comedies also, but most of them are action movies, which makes sense. It's comic book based. It can't be a comic book unless it has a big fight at the end. But I'm hoping that they kind of diversify, which it seems that they are, because Sam Raimi is directing Multiverse of Madness. Did you not know this? He's directing the.
I feel like
Doctor Strange Multiverse.
You said Sam Raimi is directing, and I'm like, what? Then you said Multiverse of Madness, and I'm like, did I know that? I think I knew that.
Yeah,
actually. Yeah. Okay.
He is what he's best known for, aside from I guess Spider-Man. People know him, but his original movies, the first ones he made, were Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, which are started out really as campy, gory horror, and then got more comedy. But really hoping that signals this is going to be a more horrific movie with some body horror and some, maybe even like a what's the big ancient monsters with, Cthulhu and some of that dread humor. Yeah, Lovecraftian type of thing I could see happening. And I'm hoping that they lean into Eldritch horror. Yeah, where they I'm hoping that they start to lean into more genres of movie. I would love if Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a musical. I think it would work so well. A jukebox musical.
I can tell you, Zoe Saldana can sing, man.
Yeah, and I think Chris Pratt can't. Chris Pratt, whatever. Just dub him over. Who cares?
I can tell you, Dave Bautista cannot. Watch My Spy. It's a good movie.
No, that's fine. It would be funny. It would be the point.
He would be the one to come in and just say, why is everyone singing?
What is this? Yeah, it would be the fourth wall breaking kind of thing. No, I want that. Yeah, and I'm hoping that this, on a meta level, is a signal of we're going to do something different. Beyond just new action movie with a very similar plot over and over again. Do something different with how you present your stories, because that's how you're going to get continued interest.
Right.
If you are not a hardcore, like, I love these characters, Marvel is my favorite, I like, if you're just a casual viewer, like, Guardians of the Galaxy brought in people because it was a funny sci-fi action movie, and it was it was a very funny movie.
Yeah.
You need to do more of that to get more people to people continue being interested and get more people interested in.
I'd love for there to be like a tense horror type movie in the MCU, or I'd love for there to be just a true comedy, like a Howard the Duck true comedy type movie.
And when I say lean into it, don't just like hint at it. Like, I want, like, if I left Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness genuinely, unnerved, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
I don't like that, but I think it would be wonderful for, like, personally, I've talked about it. I don't like horror movies because they affect me, but that would mean that they actually leaned into this idea, and I'm hoping that that's what WandaVision is signaling, that they're willing to do something a little different in the future.
New stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely looks like she is capable of bringing that. Her character is capable of having that storyline put around her.
I would love the She-Hulk show to be a legal drama where she also punches people with her big green muscles.
They are saying that Deadpool 3 is going to be in the MCU.
Yeah.
And will still be rated R.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be some genre.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's lean into it, because I that's what needs to happen here.
Agreed. I'm excited. That's really good. You have any final questions here?
Where do babies come from?
Well, you see.
This is in the true director's cut. No, I think I'm good. Yeah, I think that's our discussion.
That's what we got, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought of WandaVision. Let us know what you didn't like about it, what you thought didn't work. Let us know what you thought worked really, really well, and where you think this is going, and what you think of our little fan theories here. I want to say a big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do some of my neighbors, off the album Dear Sam. Go check out Granger. They make good music.
They make some tunes.
They do.
Also, hey, we have a Discord, like people do on the internet.
Yeah.
We have a Discord, and we like to have discussions on there. Like, sometimes we discuss, like, our topic before it actually gets talked about, and so we steal your ideas, and that's generally not true.
Like 90% of the time.
We like to have that discussion
true.
as a primer. But anyway, so jump on there. We also just talk about movies and games and stuff that came out, and just, sometimes we'll, when the Game Awards happened last year, we just kind of watched it together and talked about what was going on there.
Yeah.
So jump on our Discord. There's a link in the description to jump on there, as well as go to our YouTube channel. We have Let's Play. We are a Let's Play YouTube channel. And right now, Little Nightmares 2, as we talked about earlier, Dez's playthrough is going up. We're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
As well as our playthrough of Concrete Genie. And coming soon to a Des and Fox near you is Katamari Damacy Reroll, which we started yesterday, and I just forgot how much I love just rolling up stars for the King of all cosmos, the worst dad in the universe.
The worst dad. Well, thanks again for listening, guys, and always remember that save games, save lives.
Bye.
My voice is louder.